On this episode of Fitness Junkeez, we're back at the Kilo Club in Summerlin, Las Vegas with a Kilo Club trainer, Jenny Smith.
The elbows at a 45-degree angle, hitting that front delt.
Jenny takes us through 3 of her favorite exercises.
Or we can bring it down into a squat.
This firecracker's got a lot to say.
Take my shirt off, do a little twirl.
Whoa!
I have a bra, don't worry.
Enjoy the show. What's up, Fit Fam? This is Giovanni of Gio's Logic, your host of Fitness Junkeez. I hope this show meets you in good health and spirits, and if not, I hope it inspires you to do something about it. Today, we have a really nice guest, really nice guest, a trainer at Kilo Club as well, Jenny Smith. How are you?
Good, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
Normally I always ask my guests, like, what is their journey? What is their fitness junkie journey? And I want to go all the way back because a lot of people start fitness at different points in their life, but a lot of fitness junkies are lifers.
Right.
What's your story?
It's a long one. I've actually been an athlete for 31 years. I started competing in track and field when I was 10 in junior Olympic track and field. I grew up on a very large cattle ranch, about 1,000 acres. So I grew up working very hard, and I didn't necessarily have a normal childhood per se. And from 10 to 19, I ran track. When I was 16, I got invited to go run for the USA track and field team in Europe for a couple weeks. They choose the best track athletes throughout every state, and I was the only female athlete at that moment invited to go run for the USA track and field team. So that was probably one of the greatest honors I had ever achieved at that moment. I was just young and dumb and didn't realize what I was actually experiencing at the time.
I've got to interrupt you. Your little tiny legs were that fast?
I was so fast that when I was a 6th grader, they actually moved me up to varsity basketball and track because I was that fast. I made it to state as a 6th grader. I wasn't even in high school yet. And I made it to finals actually too. And I was all the way in 2nd place. And the last 10 meters, I didn't make it. But I did very well. At a young age, I was super fast. My grandfather actually taught the varsity men's basketball team, and he would make me do sprints with them.
Nice.
Just to piss them off.
Wow.
So I was very fast.
Okay.
But I got transitioned to the 800 when I was out in Europe because the distance coach was like, you're unique. You have speed, but your endurance is that much better. Because I would get up every morning being a country girl, and I would just go run with the distance team for shits and giggles because I was up, Right. So combining those two characteristics into one is the perfect 800 runner. So I then went back to the States. I got hurt, and I actually got really sick my senior year, and I didn't do as well as I had anticipated to do. And then I went to D1 track and field for the University of New Mexico. Did well, but I developed stress fractures in my shins, which is very common, or I should say a common injury with track athletes in general, because we don't have a normal menstrual cycle. Our estrogen level's at the lower level. So when you incorporate that into all the running we do, it's very common for us to develop stress fractures. So I hung up my heels at that point at 19, was very devastated, I should say. And I then transitioned into bodybuilding. I dated a man for about 6 years, and he got me really big into the weights. And from there, here I am.
Wow.
Yeah, so at 19 is when I hit the weights when I was younger, 16, 17, 18, but I really hit them hard when I was 19. And I probably went from 100 pounds to 115 pounds. And it was a solid 115. And then I went from 115 to probably the heaviest I ever weighed was 135 in college. I weigh 115 now, lean, but yeah, college days were fun. When you're young and you can put on that kind of size.
Yeah.
And then I transitioned. And in 2016, 17, I got my pro card in figure at the USA's here in Nevada. I then went in 2017 and competed in 2 shows at the pro level, the LA Championships in LA. And then I went to the Arizona Pro Show, which is an all-women show, actually, in Arizona. That's where the women's bodybuilding have, their Olympia. And I didn't do as well as I'd like to do, of course. Those girls are massive. So then I just took some time off to build, found out about the wellness category coming into the U.S., So then I started preparing for that, and I just competed this last year in 3 wellness pro shows. The first one was in Lake Tahoe. I placed 9th, I think, out of 16 girls. I should have been in that top 5, but I messed up royally in my posing, as it is a new division. The judge was like, you had the best back pose, hands down, but your front pose sucks. Fix it immediately.
Wow.
Yeah, so no big deal there. I got second masters at that show. But when you bring, bodybuilding is like 2 birds. One is bringing the package. The other one is preparing the package or presenting the package in the best way possible. It's like buying a gift from somebody. Do you just throw it in a box, or do you wrap it up nicely and the presentation is part of the package?
Right.
So my presentation wasn't there. The package was there, but how I presented my package wasn't there. So the placing was justified in that aspect, if that makes any sense.
Yes. I just love how you keep saying package. It's like, I showed up without my package, and my package was looking good that time.
Well, like, my body, my body.
No, I'm just joking. If you were a man, a package means something else.
Not that kind of package, no.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to get you on here over the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and you've been between shows back to back to back.
Yes, and it's very hard when you're in between shows because your mind frame, it's like a horse in a race. They have the blinders on, and you're just focused on that one goal. And even my family, they hate it. They hate it because they see how political and subjective the sport is and what I do to my body. I mean, I bring in a level of conditioning that most girls can't do that. And even girls have messaged me saying, like, how in the world? First of all, I'm a track athlete. I'm bred for this shit. I mean, like, I've been doing this shit since I was 10. I pulled a tire down a dirt road in the 6th grade. I roped and burns down my neck because my dad made me. They don't make me anymore. I'm the last of the Mohegans.
That's funny. The
level of conditioning comes from my genetics, but also comes from I dig deep, really deep.
So let's backtrack a little bit. And you shared some of your behind the scenes stuff with me. And the things that you do starting from when you wake up were crazy. Like the multiple photos that you send to your coach, and the between vitamins and water and coffee, like, what is going on there?
That's the behind the scenes that nobody sees. People see the final package or presentation or body, I should say, and they don't see everything that led up to that point.
Right.
So the day of the show, I just got up, and first thing I do when I get up in the morning is I usually use the bathroom, and then, as you can see, I have to put my suit on, because I have to take pictures for my coach. So when I first get up, I have to take pictures fasted without any water or coffee. And I'm in this extra bathroom so that my husband can sleep, because I have to get up around 6 to 6:30. So I have 8 ounces of water with all of my morning pills, which is ashwagandha, vitamin C, maca. What else do I have? Something for my heart. I'm missing something else. There's several items I have fasted with just water. And then I usually have here, on my scale, I measure out about 8 ounces of coffee. This is an espresso, so I'll only have about 5 ounces, and then I'll add some water for 3 ounces later on to it. I've got to quickly drink this and get this in my body, because my first set of pictures and my second set of pictures, there's like a 10-minute hang time in between for this water and coffee to get in my body. And then I set my coach a side by side of from when I first woke up to 10 minutes after I've had my coffee and water. I send those comparisons, and then from there, we literally take it meal by meal. So like yesterday, I woke up, same thing. Okay, update. Right now, the show has started. MPC Wellness is on stage next. The MPC is. I'm needing to put together my next meal, which is my salmon. It's about 85 grams of salmon, and I'll have like 85 grams of white rice, or I can do 25 grams of dry rice, which is like rice cakes. But just for convenience, I'll probably just do the rice. Easier. And this is what it is all day long. It's just making food, and then I check in with my coach, and I stop to go get my makeup done. Makeup is at 8. It's actually later than I normally would get it done, but that's just when I was scheduled. Whew, all right, waiting to go get my makeup done. Just gonna do a little posing practice while I wait. Hair's looking a little frizzy, but that's all right. We're going to fix that right up. Okay. Makeup is done, heading into the theater now. Gonna go get ready to get pumped up, and then hit stage probably in like 30 minutes, I would say. So this is it. Hair's really frizzy today. Yeah, that humidity has got me today, but it's okay. Do our best to keep it intact. Show day. I get up, and I mean it's all dependent on what time you have your makeup. I do my own hair. No one's gonna touch this. So I get my makeup done. Then you have to get your second coat of tan. Mind you, have to start off the night before with your first coat of tan. So you're sleeping like in a mummy position, like so you don't want to mess up the sheets or mess up your tan at all.
Right.
And then you get up like around 6:30, depending on when you're gonna be on stage, to get ready for your second coat of tan. And when I first get up, I have to take a set of pictures for my coach. And then I wait 10 minutes after I have my water and my coffee, and it's usually like 8 ounces of each. So I have water all day long. I don't take any diuretics. And then I wait 10 minutes, and then I send him a second set of pictures, but I take them side by side so he can see the difference. And a lot of times water pushes out excess water that you're holding on to overnight. So that's the purpose of that water first thing in the morning. Some people don't do that. It just depends on how your body operates.
Right.
And then it's literally, or it's actually, I should say, hour by hour, minute by minute, because if I'm holding too much water here, he might pull the water. I actually stay, like I said, because I have hyperhidrosis, I stay extremely dry. I stay dry like a man. Most women are like, what the hell? Even my coach for my first show, we missed my flight. We missed our flight to Tahoe. And so, I mean, through all that scrambling around to get out to Tahoe, I show up to Tahoe, send him pictures. The minute I got off the plane, he's like, how are you this dry? How are you this dry? It's just not normal. I'm like, that's just how I am. I've already had half a gallon of water or more, and with all the stress. But I listen to meditation music, and I just cruise through the day so that I stay real calm.
And so that whole prep, I mean, I know peak week and all that stuff, there's like women that are thinking about doing a show. Talk a little bit about that last week and how that all...
That's when shit hits the fan. Just kidding. It's an interesting week. You know, there's a saying where, like, if you're not feeling like shit, you're doing something wrong.
Okay.
There's some truth to that, because when you've given it your all at that point, but peak week is when you should be peaking. And that's what the definition of peak week is every day during that peak week, your body transforms, and the vascularity becomes more intense. All the lines start to show up. Some people...
That's if you're doing it right.
Correct. Some people peak too early.
Yeah.
And I tend to be one of those people where you blink your eyes and I'm just shredded. And my coach is like, what? Everyone's different. Once
Right.
again, everyone's different. I peaked so well my first show. I looked phenomenal, but he started to reverse diet me after my first show. I was reverse dieting since my first show. So my last 2 shows, I was eating into the show. Wow. That's just not normal. Most people are like, what? But I look at it like this. That's a very favorable spot to be in, because you just grow from there.
Right.
It's so much. You've done all the hard work. So cardio goes down a little bit. You just add some more food. You're cruising at that point.
Right.
So versus a lot of other girls, they don't do the work in the beginning, and then they're like, that's to me, the worst thing a judge can tell you is you're not conditioned enough.
Mm.
I'd rather be too conditioned and eat into my next show than someone tell me, yeah, go back and do more work.
Right.
You know-
And when translate what that means, it means you're looking soft.
Right.
and- yeah.
So that's just the way I interpret things. I hit it really hard so that I can ease into it.
Right.
So, but my coach, Johnny Castellina, is amazing, and he did a fantastic job in peaking me just perfectly for that first show. And then from there, we just ate into the show. So peak week is all about peaking perfectly so that the day you wake up with the show, you're like just, it's on.
Right.
I have friends who literally peak like the last 3 days before a show hits. They do it so precise, but they've also done 20 shows.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think I've done
Right.
a total of 7 or 8 or 9. I haven't done. People think like, oh my God, you've done. No, I really haven't.
Do you think that if someone is doing a first show, or they're what'd you call them, newbies?
Newbies.
They should not get on stage if they're not in a good zone as far as emotionally, and if they're not conditioned enough?
That's a great question and I do tell people that, like, if you're really not ready to get on stage and it's a subjective sport. You're being judged and ridiculed like from the head down
Right.
to your toes.
Right.
So, I mean, everything matters. Your hair, your makeup, everything. So the worst thing is like getting on stage, we're not being fully prepared and being told that's a mental crusher. I could see, and a lot of athletes have not gotten back on stage because of that reason. It's
Right.
hard, and mentally, it's more of a mental game than anything else. You have to be strong and have thick skin.
Right.
You're going to be told you look like shit 10 times
Right.
more than you'll ever be told anything else. I mean, I
Right.
get told from my family 24/7, you're too lean, you're too this. I mean, I get critiqued or fit shamed so much. So it's just the art, it's the nature of the beast. You have to be able to be strong mentally.
Right.
And if you're not prepared for that type of criticism, pick a different sport
Right.
or a different hobby, I should say.
So you talked about confidence before, and you talked about your pose. Your back pose was good, but your front pose sucked.
I just leaned forward too much in the front pose, and I have pictures I could show you and stuff. But it's just you have to remain nice and tall, almost thinking of a string pulling your chest. You're pulling your chest up,
Right.
and I was leaning down.
Right.
So it takes away from the waistline,
Right.
making my waist look really blocky and no waist at all when I have a very small waist. So I just cheated myself.
Right.
Lesson learned.
It seems like the whole thing, the whole process, and don't get me wrong, I love women with muscles and I love lean women with muscles. But I feel like the whole process is making you guys go through like this monkey gymnastics. You twerk your body in so weird ways. You put so much tanner and makeup on that you're not even recognizable. You're a different person.
Mm-hmm.
Like and then you're getting judged, and your mental capacity has no idea to disconnect that package that you put on the stage to who you are. It's just so weird. It's such a weird sport.
I agree with you. It is. It's very, especially with the direction it's going in right now. There's a lot of talk about how politics and promoters are promoting shows, and they're also judging shows, and they have athletes in the show. Is that a conflict of interest? Absolutely, but it happens.
Yeah.
So if you go in knowing the animal you're getting into bed with, then that's okay. But if you go in naive, thinking that you're going to go and make it to Olympia and get all these sponsorships, well, let's take a step backwards. And there's only a handful of those top-notch athletes that actually make a living in this sport, which is why I refer to it as a hobby. You know, I treat it like a job and I give it my all. But at the end of the day, it is what it is.
So, okay, I don't compete. I've never competed. But I use different things. I teach my clients different things to use to help keep them motivated and laser focused on eating clean and
Right.
being consistent. Is that what you use these
I do.
shows for?
I use it for a self-improvement, mentally more so than anything, knowing that I can take my body to a different level that I've never taken before, and that I did that on my own.
Right.
Did I have guidance from my coach, from my husband and my family? Yes, but I did that. I did the work. I put the work in. I'm the one that chose to mentally level up, and there's a lot of crying, screaming, moodiness. I've got about 9 different personalities rolling around in this body at any given time. And if I don't get my meal in 27 minutes, you're going to discover one of those unhappy personalities. And it's about 27 minutes. So
Wow.
it's hard. But I try to look at it like, as long as I'm growing as a person individually and I'm gathering more information and knowledge from my personal training clients to help them advance through their life struggles, because this is a major life struggle, you know what I mean? So if I'm able to get through this and help them see how they can get through theirs, then I'm winning.
Yeah, and there's I would say, other than maybe a high school reunion pool party, which never happens, that there's nothing more of a date where you signed up for something that you know you're going to be judged, and like if that's not going to keep you on track, nothing will.
Believe it or not, though, a lot of people actually cheat on their diet. Believe it or not, there's a lot of athletes. They will be like 3 weeks out, even 2 weeks out, and they will do something just catastrophic.
Like it just, like they can't hold it anymore.
Well, this is my interpretation on why they do that. It's self-sabotage.
Oh yeah.
They're giving themselves a way out. Well, I could have gotten first. I could have done this, but I cheated. And I can say that with confidence, knowing that I'm 110% correct, because I've actually had a previous coach of mine who once coached me, and she did that, and that was the explanation that she gave me. So it made perfect sense coming from the horse's mouth, knowing that it makes sense. And a lot of athletes do that. Now, a lot of advanced pros will do that knowing that, oh my God, I'm too lean for this show and I need to actually increase my calories too. But they know once again, they've done 20 or 30 shows.
Right.
They're doing it for a purpose.
Right.
It's a true refeed. I actually know a lot of figure pros where literally the night before, like I had cake, I had ice cream, I had this, because they were so flat and so lean, a burger and fries was not going to do it for them.
Right.
So once again, the difference between self-sabotage or I'm doing it for a refeed, and there's a purpose.
Right.
There's always a purpose, but what is the purpose?
Right. It's so interesting, the human body, where some nights, like I have a slip, or I decide I'm going to, go off the ranch, and I wake up and I'm like, whoa.
The vascularity.
Yeah.
That's all the glucose. So the analogy I like to use in that capacity is like this. As a competitor, I'm dieting down. Think of a balloon. I blow up that balloon to its max. It looks like it's about to pop. So as I start to diet, I'm slowly letting a little bit of air out of that balloon, right? Just a little bit. And then it starts to get like a little wrinkly, right? A little wrinkly, soft. I have a refeed, and that fills up my glucose and my storage and my muscles. That's what that is. That's the analogy I like to use. So like, once again, those competitors, they're so wrinkly and so flat that they need something to fill up their muscle bellies again with all that glucose. That's why you get that vascularity.
Right.
That's your body saying, yes, we needed some food. Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
So just think of that balloon. And so as you let a little bit of air out, you fill it back up so you don't lose too much muscle. Then you let a little bit more out until you get to the place you want to be.
Right. Dial it in. I always tell people, it's like, I've never coached anyone to stage, but I've started the process, and I always tell them, like, it's tough running up to a show, whether it's 12 weeks or 8 weeks or how long you're going. Life things can happen.
Absolutely.
Women hormone things can happen. You just don't know, and it's like an obstacle course.
Absolutely. Your hormones are a symphony. So whenever you mess with your hormones, you take one hormone out of the equation, you ruin the symphony. So you have to take all that into consideration.
Yeah. So you talked a bit before about how this is an important hobby for you, but your family doesn't feel it.
Yeah, they, I normally roll around 125, and I look good at a 125. Right now I'm 115, so my face looks fuller, my butt looks fuller, everything just looks more womanly, softer, more pretty. You know, I modeled for 12 years, so my parents, my family, my husband, they're all used to seeing a prettier, softer Jenny. So when they get this rugged, aggressive, crazy, you know, rolling around the house,
Right.
5% body fat. I mean, I get lean. You've seen me. I get abnormally lean. It's just how I roll. And I mean, I've been eating so much. I mean, on Sundays I have nearly 5,000 calories.
Whoa.
I'm not even lying. I'm maybe 4,000, 4 to 5,000. And I've gained 5 pounds.
Wait a second. How do you get 4,000 calories in you? What are you eating?
I probably have 4 blueberry muffins that day. Okay. I'm only supposed to have 1.
Okay. Yeah.
Johnny, if you're watching this, sorry, I have been lying to you. Sorry.
That's great.
Don't get mad.
Is that your coach?
Yeah. He's the only opinion. I'm like, don't get mad. Everyone else is like, fuck off. No, I'm supposed to have I have 75 grams of carbs pre and post workout. But that blueberry muffin has about 46 or 56. So I sometimes have another half blueberry and I put honey on top of it, about 15 grams.
Okay.
And then later on the night when I'm having my burger and fries, I throw in another blueberry muffin and then the other half of blueberry muffin into some ice cream.
Whoa.
And sometimes, like last night, I had 2 burgers and a fry. And
Wait. Is this the refeed part, or is this part of the run up to a show?
No, this is just, like I said, I stay so lean.
Friday night.
Well, I'm not supposed to have anything Friday night, but you saw I worked out with Jen yesterday, so there was no, I was hip thrusting 365, so I'm like, I'm getting me a burger and fries today.
You deserved it.
I deserved it.
Sure.
She pushes me, so I'm like, hey. But I'm only supposed to have that refeed once a week, which is on Sunday. So like I said, I've been kind of having 2 refeeds a week just to kind of put some weight on me. These wellness girls are big girls.
Yeah.
I'm going to always be the smallest girl on stage. I'm 5'1". It is what it is. And I'm petite. I'm not a 5'1" and thick. I'm 5'1" and petite. Is my shape there? It's beautiful. I know it is. The judges have told me, but add an inch, add 10 pounds. And these women are like 5'7", 5'9". Some of them are even 5'11". So they're outweighing me by 60 pounds.
Right.
So I need to eat.
Right.
So
right.
That's just the nature of the beast. So yes, Sundays I have probably, because each muffin's 550, 600 calories. If I have 3 or 4 of them, you do the math. Plus all my other food.
So blueberry muffins are your jam.
Oh man, blueberry muffins with some honey.
I love it. So a lot of normal women, men struggle with their significant others, families, stuff like that. It's even worse, where they have to be around the foods that you're eating, and then they want to eat normal food, but especially when you're dieting down, you don't want to see that shit.
Oh,
how do you deal with that?
I do. My family doesn't care. They live their life. I have immense willpower. In fact, my willpower is so good that my coach and some other people have to force me to, like, come on, you can have this. Like I could prep for a whole year and be fine.
Okay.
Meh. It's all mental. It's all perspective. It's all relevant based on what you want to do. Some people don't have that. Like I said, most people don't have that, and that's okay. I'm just different, and I've known that since I was a child, because I've been doing this since what I've done to my body is just not normal. I mean, right. I can't even begin to just tell you what I did as a kid, what my father had me do. I was just insane. Nowadays, people are like, that's child abuse. Probably.
Yeah, back then. But I mean, yeah, it's a different time.
Different times, man. They don't make us anymore. But every Friday night, my husband and my daughter have Five Guys every Friday night, like clockwork. And you know who picks it up? Moi. And they go upstairs, eat their burgers, and I sit downstairs on the couch, grouchy with my little chicken and rice, and they leave the burger and fries on the counter. Beautiful burger and fries just steaming up the house. And I'm just like, all right. Okay. I guess I'm just going to sit here and watch these fries.
All right.
You know, so, but like I said, that I've made a choice to do this, so it's my choice. So my choice shouldn't affect anyone else as far as for, like, if I choose to go and eat chicken and rice for the next year, that's my choice. But in that same aspect, I have to be reasonable and understanding of what they want to do too.
Right.
I have to be flexible. That's compromise. Isn't that what marriage is?
Right. I don't know. I'm not married.
But
never there.
it's very hard for there's days I want to have a burger and fries and I just can't. You know what I mean?
So let's go take your level of focus and determination, and how do you teach how a normal family or woman or whoever's trying to eat clean and incorporating that in their home life? Like you said,
start small. Focus on literally one thing at a time. You can't change overnight. It's time. Time with consistency will equal the result.
Right.
That's all it is. I mean,
Right.
with anything,
Right.
you can't compare someone's, like I tell every client, your first session with me versus your 1,000th session with me, you can't be too hard on yourself.
Right.
Anyone's first session at anything versus their 100th or 1,000th.
Right.
So let's get a few sessions under our belt, and through trial and error, we figure out what works for the individual. Because
Right.
at the end of the day, there's no universal diet. It's about the diet that works best for the individual and the
Right.
diet that they're actually going to consume. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and also, I truly live by the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time you eat healthy, nutrition, dense foods.
Yep.
The other 20%, you can have your pizza, your burger, your fries, your donuts, whatever.
Right.
Whatever suits your fancy. Now, I try to avoid sugary stuff as much as possible. I also don't have a sweet tooth, so don't like chocolate. I'm one of those. But if you had some tacos here, we might battle over some tacos.
So I usually try and teach a lot of different little tricks, and we both know that nutrition is the hardest mental game.
Absolutely.
What do you teach? Like, how do you negotiate? Like, if you have a husband, for instance, that doesn't really care about his weight, and a lady of the house is trying to change her body, and she knows that her current body is bringing her down. How do you teach them to negotiate?
I would
that
teach the
relationship?
wife, don't buy anything that your husband shouldn't be eating. Because if you don't buy it, you can't have it in the house. Therefore, you're not setting yourself up for failure. You're actually setting yourself up for success. If
Got
it's
it.
not in the house, you can't eat it.
Right.
If you really, really want it, you'll leave the house to go get it.
Right.
Most people won't do that.
Yeah.
Most people really won't do that. We're so lazy because we're so accustomed to this lifestyle where everything's so readily available to us.
Right.
Where if you see, well, I lie. I've seen a sub sandwich on the fridge, and I've been like, I'm gonna go get that right now. So actually, I've done that once. but in theory, though, like that's what I tell my sisters who have kids, because with kids you gotta buy them some snacks here and there. But I try to like hide them from myself and put them in places that I know I'm not gonna eat them.
Right.
But also just a treat should be only once a week, at the most twice a week, and teach that from the get-go when they're young. And also for the wife and husband dynamic, since she does the grocery shopping, try to eliminate the foods that are going to cause any type of distraction in the household, and then also have prepared meals ready to rock and roll. In my household, I have different types of meats at all times prepared, different types of carbohydrates, and switch it up. That's what I have a list of foods that my clients can eat. Here's your lean proteins, pick one. I don't care. Here's a list of your carbohydrates you can pick from, all portioned out in their exact portions. Pick one. I don't care. Same thing for veggies. Pick one. I don't care. Sauces. I'm a huge sauce freak. I love sauces. In fact, if anyone ever said you can't have sauces, I'm like, I'm out. I'm out. I drink hot sauce. I'm like, ah. So I do Kinders, low calorie. They have a barbecue, a teriyaki, a garlic teriyaki, 35 calories. It's a little high in sodium, but if you drink plenty of water, that'll flush out that excess sodium. But the best diet, in my opinion, is the one with the most variety. Switching things up, constantly getting different types of nutrients in your body. But just switch it up. That's always you don't have to eat chicken. You can eat turkey. You can eat crab. You can eat whitefish. You can eat beef.
Yeah, it seems like there's a battle with a lot of clients that I have that have families and stuff, trying to the woman usually gets guilt tripped into, oh, come on, you just come out once, don't be, you eat good all the time. And it's like that constant battle of, I'm trying to eat clean, I'm trying to do this, and
Right.
you keep pulling me back.
The crab syndrome.
Yeah.
The bucket of crabs in the middle of the room, one's trying to make it out and the rest pull them down. That's called the crab syndrome. And once again, if I was that crab, I'd be kicking the rest of them, get off me. Do what I want to do. And that's, you have to have, be able, no is the best word someone can use to help them be successful. Most people don't realize saying no is a good thing.
But these people, myself included, are addicts. We want that drug, whatever that drug is.
They don't allow yourself only once a week to have it.
Okay.
Just there's nothing wrong with having treats, and I don't want anyone to ever want anyone to develop any type of eating disorder like this food's bad. No, I eat it. I just manage it, and also I don't eat like an asshole all the time. Like for example, Thanksgiving. This is a perfect example. Thanksgiving's coming up, so this is how I'm going to roll it, depending on how my week goes. Wednesday and Friday, the pre and post day of the Thanksgiving, I might cut my carbs down a little bit so I can go ham on Thursday.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because technically it's the total calories at the end of the week.
Right.
It's not that day. So
Right.
people are like, oh my God, I missed job. And oh my God, my life's over if that's just one day.
Right.
Let's relax.
Right.
Let's
Your body doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that. And your body doesn't care if you have carbs at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. Doesn't care, by the way. I had 2 burgers last night and a large fry. Doesn't care. I mean, you may get a little gassy and wake up the next morning and have to have a massive bowel movement, but whatever. That's a good thing. You know what I mean? But like your body doesn't care. So that's the perfect example. I'm going to probably reduce some of my carbs on Wednesday and Friday. You know what I mean? And also after having a big meal, just go for a little 10-minute walk just to kind of like, I probably won't do that. I'll probably pass out on the couch, but that's just how I'm going to roll it is just reduce some of your calories in other areas if you know you're going to have a high calorie meal that next day.
Yeah, I always get a big workout in the day of any holiday, day of anything that I want to indulge.
Same. I love it because then you feel like you earned it, and all that food goes directly to those muscles you just worked. So I'm the same way. I'm like, I'm going to go get a really good workout in. Yeah. I mean, and it could be something, it doesn't have to be super heavy, maybe high reps or something, but just something that's just going to stimulate some sort of growth so where that goes directly into your muscles. I love that.
Yeah. And then you don't have that guilt because even though, like you said, it's not about the day of,
right?
But just mentally, I just feel better.
And right there, isn't that what fitness is all about? Is making ourselves feel better. Yeah. So if that right there works for you, that matters. Yeah. To me, life's about happiness, the ultimate happiness. Yes. And if whatever you're doing isn't bringing that joy out of you, then do something else.
Right.
Find whatever. This is a perfect example. We went to Mexico, my husband and I, and he had Oreo cheesecake every day. That one is savage, doesn't give a, about anything. He enjoyed it. Like, just enjoyed it. In fact, give me another one. Me, that would have driven me insane. I'd be like,
Right.
I don't even like cheesecake or Oreo cheesecake at that,
Right.
But it's the fact that's not happiness for me. For him. So I applaud him. I'm like, good for you, bud.
Right.
Because
crack cocaine for him.
I mean, he was like, I love it. Now, guess what? He came back and was like, oh, I feel like crap now. Yeah, all that sugar. Versus I was like, I'm fine. Let's go on to the next one.
Right.
But it's whatever makes you happy. So if that made him happy, I'm going to let him enjoy that part of his day. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for me, it was laying out in the sun and having a margarita.
Right.
That brought me joy.
Right.
So it's just about what brings you happiness.
Well, so, okay, and then how do you battle being a fat fuck and eating crap makes me happy opposed to healthy?
Then you know what, you can't cry wolf if you're disrespecting your health. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's the way I look at it. You can't cry wolf. You've got to be conscious enough to realize that whatever you're doing is gonna create certain amount of results.
Consequences.
Right, consequences. There you go. So if that's what you want to do and that makes you happy, then go for it.
Right.
But at the same token, don't fit shame me for doing what I love.
Right. Right.
It seems like in this day and age, so many people have a lot to say about fit people, yet 42% of our American population is obese.
Right.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Which means our healthcare system's majorly taxed, which means people like me who are really healthy, my healthcare goes up because I'm paying for people who aren't healthy. So I do care. Mm-hmm. So technically, I do care.
Right. So let's go to where we do our thing over at Kilo Club and see what some of the favorite workouts that you do to create this body.
Thank you.
So we're back at Kilo Club Fit Fam, and we're here with Jenny. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good.
Thank you.
So we're at your leg area here.
So my favorite leg machine in any particular gym is an Arsenal hack squat. And the reason for that is because it's multi-versatile. You can do multiple exercises on this and target different areas within the legs and the glutes. I like to do a regular hack squat with the back supported here. It's been actually known that that's actually more effective than just regular squats because you're protecting your back. And also you can flip it around and do a reverse hack squat, which is going to target that upper glute along with the quads. And I'm also going to show you one more exercise on here, which is a Bulgarian split squat, which is very unique. It's an advanced movement on here because it's a heavier piece of equipment, but it's worth the wait.
Nice.
Yes.
Get to it.
All right, here we have the Arsenal hack squat. The most common way to use it is with your back against the pad. Make sure your back never detaches from the pad. The purpose of this pad is to protect your back. Now, to hit more of a quad dominant movement, you want to keep your feet closer together and towards your body and closer together to hit that outside swoop. We're going to come up, move out the safety, bringing it down nice and slow. Even pausing in the isometric hold for a second and then driving up, making sure you do not lock out the knees.
So I see you didn't, your knees aren't going over your toes.
Exactly. So you want to really avoid the knee going over the toe line just to eliminate the patella being inflamed and just irritating that area.
Okay.
Some exercises like the Bulgarian that we're going to do here in a second, where I will take that knee slightly over the toe line to engage a little bit more of the teardrop area. But on that Bulgarian, if we push back, we'll engage a little bit more of the glute and the hammy.
Got it.
So for the reverse, it's the same thing here. What I like about this is that you can really change your foot placement, bring it farther in, gonna get more quad. We can bring our foot placement farther out and hit more of that glute and do a good morning here. Or we can bring it down into a squat. All right. Last but not least, my favorite exercise on this particular Arsenal hack squat is a Bulgarian split squat. Why? Because you cannot cheat. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna place one foot on the platform and the other one back. And all you're gonna do here is go down, turning this into a unilateral movement and driving up. And here, if I want to engage more of my glutes, I want to take this leg back more. If I want to engage more of my quads, I'll push forward more. And I'll actually bring this foot back to engage more of the quads. I just gave you 4 amazing exercises there that you can do on one piece of equipment. And there you have it.
That was good stuff.
It's interesting seeing myself on camera. I'm like,
You rock that machine.
Thank you.
So talk to me about, we talked about consistency. You were talking about over time you'll get results. What is, and I know you can't cookie cutter it, but what is your feeling, your philosophy about lifting heavy, lifting legs, that type of thing?
You always want to lift a little heavy. You always want to lift a little weight that scares you a little bit,
Okay.
but not all the time. I did that a lot when I was younger and developed a very nice solid base, but now it's more about time under tension. You know, taking the same exercise and maybe cutting the weight just a little bit. And if I did that exercise and it took me 5 minutes to complete that one set versus 30 seconds, what am I going to get more effect out of? Time under tension.
Got it.
So I'm more about time under tension than anything else.
And I know it's relative to each person, but I see, sorry ladies, I see a lot of women lifting ridiculously light weights thinking they're going to tone up.
No. You need to stimulate that muscle. You need to really stimulate that muscle, make it work.
Right.
You know, bands and all these made-up exercises you see on Instagram.
Right.
I stick with the basics. I've always stuck with the basics. I don't do anything outside of the basics. I mean, yeah, you'll see me do like a Bulgarian on that hack squat there that I've made up, like that I've been doing for years. And people are like, oh my God, that's great. But it's also an advanced movement because that machine is heavy.
Right.
And people I've showed that to, a lot of people can't do that because it's a heavier machine. And if your legs aren't strong enough to bring that machine back up, so that's why people choose other modalities to execute that movement. It's just time under tension. Really, like I'll do, or like FST 7, I'll do 7 sets of the leg press. And I'll start off like first set, 15 reps, and then I just kind of build up, and then the last 3 sets will be drop sets. Or I'll do leg press where I'll do one giant set, and I'll start off with 145 on each side, and I'll do 10 reps. And I will keep on adding a plate to each side until I can no longer do 10 reps. I've only made it to 6 plates on each side because I can only do about 4 reps because I'm not doing any rest. So I do 10 plates, 10 reps with a plate on each side, add another plate, do 10 reps, add another plate, 10 reps, add another plate, 10 reps, add another plate, 10 reps, add another plate. So I got to 6. When I get to 6 plates on each side, I only get like 4 or 5 reps. I then get off, take off, and I go back down the ladder. So I'm doing a total of 120 reps total in that one exercise.
Wow.
That kills me. Yeah. And my coach is like, ha, 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 ha.
Now, are you taking the weights off yourself?
I'm taking the weights off myself.
So that's your little rest.
I get a very little, but I have them lined up already on the side of the machine so that I'm not gathering them off the machine. So it's a quickly putting them on. But when I have somebody there to help me, it's that much more difficult because I'm getting even less rest.
Yeah.
But I move very quickly through the first building up the ladder, because I already have the weights set on the side because I know where I'm going to get to.
Yeah.
But damn, I cannot move past 6. it's bothering me actually.
Yeah.
But I mean, 6 is a lot. I mean, right now I'm only weighing 115. So if I can add 5 more pounds to my physique, I can get past that weight because the more I weigh, the more weight I can push.
Right.
So.
Right. And how often do you do legs?
3 times a week.
3 times a week.
3 times a week. But I do them very strategically because technically 3 times a week is overtraining. But for the wellness category, that's what it is.
You gotta have
it's all lower
gams.
half. It's like, boom. You gotta have that booty. and calves. Calves are a huge thing because it's a lower body competition with a bikini top.
Right.
So Sunday is my hamstring and quad day. Hamstring and glute day, and that's my high calorie day, like where I have a free meal at the end of the day. And then Wednesday is my quad dominant day, and then Friday is just a glute pump. But training with Jen has been more like a weight day. I'm like, girl. So, but I like training with other people because, not all the time, but once in a while, just because it stimulates me to look at things from a different angle, different perspective. They push me. They make me do things that I normally wouldn't do. So it's always good to get different varieties of workouts from different people in.
And I'm gonna guess that you're a bit competitive too.
I'm very competitive. I have to win. In fact, one time a coach asked me, Jenny, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? I'm like, well, I'd rather be right because being right makes me happy. She's like, of course you can say that.
That's great. That's great. So a lot of women in the bodybuilding space don't have butts, and they're all trying to get the butts, the bubble butts, and for some women genetically it's really hard. What exercises other than like the Bulgarian split squat, and what's your go-to to build glute size?
Kickback cable kickbacks, because that's all glutes. Okay. And it's a unilateral movement, and I'm huge about unilateral movements. So for example, I'm left-handed. My left side of my body is ridiculously strong. My right side, not so much. Like my left quad is even slightly bigger than my right. So that's why I primarily split that exercise up into that Bulgarian split squat, because it's giving that right side a fair chance to catch up. I'll even do maybe 1 or 2 reps on that right side, forcing it to get a little stronger. Right. Because that left side is just like, for example, I go do leg press and then I remove one leg. It's clear as day to me which leg is stronger, which leg has been doing the load. Right. So That's why I like kickbacks for that reason, because at the end of my workout, I can finish with some kickbacks and I can see which glute has had more stimulation than the other.
Which kickback?
Cable
machine?
kickbacks is great. They even
you
have.
can't load those. That
You can.
well.
Oh, you can. I go up to about 30, 35 pounds per
Okay.
leg. So I mean, that's a decent load. But
Okay.
I've built up to that.
Right.
I've built up to that.
Right.
And there's also different ways you can do it to where you can add the weight. And if I bring in like an incline bench and I support that one leg on the incline bench, which means I'll engage my core and I can keep my back really nice and stable, I can add even more weight with that because I'm holding onto that like incline bench and it's inclined up. Because a lot of girls, what they do on that particular exercise is they incorporate their lower back by
Right.
putting too much weight on there.
Right.
So it's all about really engaging that core at all times and keeping that back flat. And if you go too high up in that kickback, you're going to engage that lower back. It doesn't matter what level of weight you're using if you go up too high in that kickback. So it's about bringing up just high enough to where if you don't feel it in the glute anymore, you're taking away from the glute and it's being transitioned into the lower back.
Got it. Yeah.
So it's really about paying, once again, time under tension and paying attention to where, and having that mind-body connection. Is what I'm doing connecting with what I want it to do? Does that make sense? And if you're not feeling it, then stop what you're doing. Even if you're in the middle of a set, stop and refocus yourself.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I always tell my client, put your hand back there.
Right. Or can you feel it? That's why a lot of times like you see girls like touching that hamstring and glute tie-in to see if it's engaged.
Yeah.
You know, but if you have that mind-body connection, you can literally tell your body like, okay, let's go. And that's where you become advanced over time, just being consistent, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So we next went to, I think, an upper body exercise. Let's see what Jen had cooking there. Bing! And we're here at the power strength machine.
What this is it's the overhead press, and an overhead press is probably the best shoulder exercise that anybody can do because it hits all three heads. So what I love about this particular shoulder press or military press machine is that you can turn it into a unilateral machine, breaking up body parts or your sides. So we don't have a lot of weight to do. The main thing here is I like to keep the elbows at a 45-degree angle, hitting that front delt and pressing up, making sure our back is against the wall at all times. And the main thing here is notice that my wrist is not flat like this. It's nice and neutral and strong. Big thing, elbows in, chest out, and press. Once again, slow and controlled on that way down, that eccentric movement, and then powering up. All right, gonna switch it up into a unilateral movement. From here, right arm will stay up in the air. I'm gonna drive up. Right arm. And this is a great way to keep our body, the time under tension, with little weight. And then back down, and then pressing up.
Man, I love Kilo Club.
I do too.
They've got a lot of good stuff
I do
there. And it looks great on film.
Well, they designed it specifically. You see how the light, I was telling you, they did the same thing at City. They had the lights designed a certain way for a lot of photo shoots to have, because a lot of people like to do photo shoots there,
Right.
especially late at night when we're there. There's not a lot of people there. We can get a lot done.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, Kilo Club is so nice because it's never really is a crowd.
right. Well,
Like,
that's why they kept it like that. It's a private club,
Yeah.
and I love it. I can go in there on Sundays. I'm like, whoa, there's no one here. I take my shirt off, do a little twirl.
Whoa.
Oh, I have a bra. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's not that crazy. It's not that crazy.
Kilo
I really,
Club after hours.
I really do that though. If they saw me on camera, I'm sure like, oh my God, Jenny again.
That's great. So you talked about wellness competitors or the wellness competition division compared to bikini, and one is a lower body competition and one is an upper body, or you combine the two? My question is,
Okay.
upper body exercises and not
Oh,
getting
okay.
too big on the upper body. How do you feel?
That's a good question. That's actually a very, very, very good question, because a lot of people have transitioned to wellness. A lot of figure competitors like myself, a lot of bikini competitors have gone to wellness. So even I think a physique competitor actually tried to go down. But what the biggest thing is, you can't have this massive upper body. So when I said it's like a bikini top with like a figure bottom, but even bigger figure bottom, because like you got to have, and the thing is, you don't have to have these massive quads actually, because
Right.
if you look at Francilla, who won Olympia, I'm actually shaped a lot like her, which I'm very happy with. It's about how she's got quads, but they don't overpower her glutes and her hamstrings.
Right.
Like you look at Urishna, who plays fourth, she's got these massive legs, but it takes away from her glutes. So
Yeah.
that's why she's not, she wasn't number one.
Right.
So it's a really a booty contest.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have nice big legs, but if your quads are too big or your hamstrings are too big and it takes away from the size of your glutes, then you're doing something wrong. Stop doing so much legs and hamstrings and have more of like a high volume day on those days, and then heavy weight on your glutes. That's what I would be doing, and
Right.
I would also be getting in damn straight condition, like to where you could see that deep teardrop coming in. So I mean, that's just what I would be doing.
Right.
So to keep your upper body small is, if you already have that upper body, don't work it out.
Right.
For a year, I did not train my upper body. For an entire year, I avoided my upper body. Plus, I had to go through reconstructive breast surgery a year ago. So they had to reconstruct this left breast and had to remove a ruptured breast implant. So for 2 months, I sat on the sidelines. I couldn't even elevate my heart rate. I couldn't do anything for 2 months. I became best friends with Netflix. And I cannot divorce Netflix now. It's become a
Nice.
problem. So
Nice.
so back to your question, don't train it, or if you do train it, have some sort of like functional training day, like I'm doing like battle ropes, something that's going to stimulation, but you're not lifting heavy weights.
Yeah.
So you're kind of maintaining over time. The other thing is nutrition's key. I do carb cycling. So what it means is that like on my lower body days, I have a lot of food. On my upper body days and on my days off, like today's a day off, I will not have as many carbs. I'll have more fat versus carbs just to maintain the muscle, but not to stimulate or grow the muscle. So that really nutrition and how you train is how you obtain those results.
Yeah.
So lower your calories and don't lift as heavy and not as often. So I only have 2 upper body days, and really one day is like weight training, and on Monday I do like an athletic day where I do like battle ropes, circuits, something where I'm constantly keeping, like my heart rate is like around 150 that day. And it's an intense day. I hate it, but I need it, especially coming off a 5,000 calorie day of muffins the day before. I'm like, get to working.
Right. Yeah, it's tricky, and it's, there's also with the upper body, you can't get too lean either, because then it makes you look bigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's
a tricky process.
Yeah. It's not an easy sport. It's really not only mentally challenging, but physically it's like I saw it with your morning routine before the show with the pills and the coffee and the water and your.
There's so many pills. Because I take some supplements by Project AD, which are GDA, glucose disposal agency. So one's like a digestive enzyme, and the other one is it helps all the massive amount of carbs that I have. They push them to my muscles instead of them storing. So all those supplements actually do help. I actually find them quite helpful. So, but it's just there's so many moving factors. I have to get up. I have to have water. I have to have coffee. Then I have to send him pictures 10 minutes later. After those 10 minutes, then he immediately sends me back like what my second meal of the day is going to be. And then after that meal, after I eat that meal, like an hour after eating that meal, I then have to have another 8 ounces of water or coffee. And then I send him pictures immediately after that. And then he tells me what my next meal is going to be. And then at that point, if there's not enough time for me to check in before stage, then he tells me, okay, play it by ear and do this or this. So there's just, because it might be super full from the night before and I don't need that much food, you know what I mean, to get me to stage. But with me, I usually do.
And I don't know if you didn't send me a video of backstage. Do you do band stuff? What do you do?
Oh yeah, we do. I forgot to do that too. It was just, the last 2 shows, they would just move us into this one section and they would keep us there for like the longest time.
Right.
And it was so annoying for all of us competitors. We were like, oh, this is so stupid. I at one point, I just stopped listening to them. I was like, I'm going to do my own thing. Like, you didn't pay to get here. You didn't do the work to get here. So No. I just said, so once again, no. Back to that, no.
Right.
And so, a couple other girls were like, oh, well, I'm going to do the same thing. Yeah, it just takes one to be like, no, we're not doing that. So, because they would warm us up, then they would sit us there for like 10 minutes. We're like, by that time, your pump's gone. So I just grabbed my own mini bands, and in the section that they kind of corralled us to, but we can't have our phones there. So that's,
Got it.
do you get where I'm saying? So
Yes.
like all this stuff I wanted to do, it kind of like just, it ruined my plans. But once again, plans are never really set, so you have to be able to be adaptable.
Right.
So
Right.
I just grabbed my baby bands, and we just did like, and you don't want to do too much of a pump because like, they keep you on stage sometimes for a while,
Right.
comparisons. And like a lot of your energy gets wasted up there. Like you leave stage, you're like, man, what did I just do?
Right.
Like, did I just do another workout? So you want to get pumped up, but for me, I burn through calories so quickly that like, I don't want to get too pumped up too early to where like I'm like tired on stage.
Right.
I mean, because you have to hold a pose, and like if they pull out 5 girls and then you're on the sidelines, you're still being judged,
Right.
Because they might pull you into that center crowd.
You never know who's watching.
Right, you never know. So it's nerve wracking.
Yeah. I
So
bet.
yeah, bands up backstage, and like we usually have like candy of some sort. Some girls have Snickers, some girls have like actual gummy bears. I have actually a little shot of wine
Nice.
because that brings out the vascularity, red wine. I have like actually maybe 2 shots of red wine. I don't get on stage drunk, but if I could.
Does that help the nerves as
It
well?
helps the nerves. It helps with bring out the vascularity. And for some people, it's a diuretic. So like the night before, I have 2 ounces of Tito's vodka right before I go to bed.
Yeah, a lot of people do that.
Oh man, I love that. I love that. I'm like, yes, do I get my Tito's? Yes, I get my Tito's. Now I get like a little fifth, right? But when I go back after the show, I finish it.
That's great. That's great. So let's see what Jenny's got cooking for the all-important core ab area. Well, I've seen your abs before, and this is where you do it, huh?
This right here, if there's any exercise I can recommend for anyone to do, it would be to do a reverse crunch here on a decline bench.
Awesome.
It hits every single muscle, even your obliques. Through demonstration, allow me. First thing you want to do is you want to grip this handlebar right here. And once again, you're going to tuck your knees in. And as you drive in, you're then going to take your legs up into the sky and then slowly bring them back in and drive out. To make it a little bit more challenging, coming up, bringing one leg down, then the other, and slowly engaging those abs and then kicking out. This is equivalent to someone grabbing a rope and doing those rope crunches. I prefer this over that because even though we all want these abs, anytime you add weight to any muscle, it's going to grow. And I don't want really big, bulky abs. So I try to avoid adding weight to my abs versus more body weight exercises such as this. In combination with this, I would like to show you vacuuming, where you simply bend over and you pull your belly button in, your innermost core, which is you're engaging your transverse muscles here. And you want to hold this for about 30 seconds. Release. Again. I like to superset with these, so as I push my abs out and develop the muscles, I'm actually pulling in my transverse muscles, which is your innermost layer of abs. And if you can pull that in over time, what'll happen is it actually makes your waist smaller and tighter. You want to hold this for about 20 to 30 seconds and do 3 to 4 rounds.
Nice. Nice. I don't think a lot of normal fitness junkies know about the vacuum.
It's actually called lower pressure fitness. That's actually the correct terminology for it. There's a woman in Brazil that teaches the course, and there's only like 1 or 2 people here in the United States that are actually certified for it. My posing coach, Nikki Giagara, I took a 4-week course with her, and she taught me all of the proper poses. And they're actually yoga moves. You actually do a yoga movement through these breathing techniques. Now, in the bodybuilding world, we call it vacuuming. But the technical terminology is low pressure fitness. And all it is you're pulling in your innermost layer of abdomens, which is your transverse muscles, and you're pulling them in. And the theory is, it's not even a theory, it's been proven over time that by pulling those in, you just create a smaller, more tight core.
And How do you, I saw in your bag of tricks that you brought that you had a waist trainer. What do you feel about those?
Well, anytime you do any type of heavy compound movements such as squats, deadlifts, or an overhead press, you're going to widen your waist. That's why you see like all those CrossFit women that are on TV, they've got huge waists.
Square.
Very square.
Yeah.
Why? Because of how they lift, heavy compound movements. That's why us bodybuilders wear a weight training belt, like a weightlifting belt, because as you're lifting those really heavy compound movements, it keeps your obliques from getting engaged and it keeps them tucked in. So I wear that waist trainer. I don't wear a waist trainer anymore when I work out because I feel like it's very, it doesn't allow me to breathe. Some women can. I wear that waist trainer like when I'm home rolling around. It's because it's more of a corset trainer. And all it is, I'm forcing my body to become shaped into a hourglass, or to keep it in an hourglass shape. So with the combination of doing that on my own time outside of the gym, with wearing a correct weightlifting belt when I'm doing heavy compound movements, especially like if I was to stand up, if I'm sitting down and doing overhead press, it's not going to engage my waist as much. But if I stand up and do an overhead press, so those power lifters, that's why they have that boxy look. So right there, that shows that if you do things, certain types of exercises, you're gonna get certain types of results.
Right.
So that's where the waist trainers and the weightlifting belts come into play. Is to protect your back, but also to just shape your waist. Some people believe in them, some people don't.
Right.
I've seen the results that it has created on some of the athletes. So to say it doesn't work when it's been proven it does, you know what I mean? So it depends on the individual.
Right.
That once again depends on you, what you want to do, what you're willing to do, you know. But I find it to be effective. Certain ones and how you do them, and it's just once again time under tension. The more time you spend doing something, the greater the results are going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And back to the old cliche, do you feel like you make your abs in the kitchen?
100%. It's all kitchen. I mean, just like now, I've added. My calories have slowly gotten up. Cardio's kind of stayed about 25 minutes. But yeah, you can't see my abs as defined as they were before because I have layers of fat on top of it now. Right. You know what I mean? Because your body wants to get back to homeostasis as quickly as possible after a show. It's like, feed me now. So that's the hardest part for a competitor is the after the show, because anyone can just say, cool, I'm done. But it's about, that's when you actually make the most amount of gains, because you can either go muscle gain or fat gain. And that's where a lot of people, in my opinion, mess up, because you have that window of opportunity to really go in this direction or that direction. And at the time that you want to throw in the towel, because you can, there's nothing else. You don't have any, you're not in a thong on stage like, hey, look at me anymore. Right. You know what I mean? So it's so easy to do that. And I've done that before. But the key is just, let's try to stay consistent. We can incorporate some cheats here and there, but stick with the plan, because I truly believe that your off season or your improvement season is the foundation for your on season. How well you did in that improvement season is going to dictate how well you do on your your on season.
Nice. So we're kind of getting to the end here, but I want to get an idea of the why and the where are you going with this hobby?
I mean, obviously, I would love to make it to Olympia. That's always been my ultimate goal as a young girl. I wanted to be an Olympic athlete. Now, the Olympia versus Olympic athlete are two different things, in my opinion. I mean, but it would still mean a lot to me. Being an athlete of 31 years, and this has been like my dream, my life goal. That is what I want to do. I would love to, and I feel like I have a good chance here in this division. I've got a nice, good shape. I've just got to add more quad size. I've got to add more size to my lower half together. But that is my goal. And also with that is just continuing on with my business, helping others to believe in themselves. You know, I have a lot of people who have a lot of self-doubt in them. People just don't believe in themselves. They don't think they can do it. And so I'm the perfect person, I think, to say, I'm going to breathe some confidence into you.
Right.
You know, so, because I've got a lot of it. So I'm like, let's share. So just learning as much as I can from the people I surround myself with, and giving that knowledge back to my people. You know what I mean? Because I'm filled with so much knowledge, and I'm at a stage where it's time to give it back. You know what I mean? This is what I've done, and this is what you can do. I've led through example.
Have you had to make a deal with your family, and when you get to the Olympia and get on stage there, is that time to hang up your
It probably will be.
glass
Yes.
slippers?
Yes, it probably will be. My husband's like, who do I have to pay, man? What the hell? So yes, I mean, I'm going to be 42 this year. You know, I think Jay Cutler said it the best recently. He actually made a comment. He goes, I hung it up at 40 because your body just changes at 40, and it does. As an athlete, I can contest to that.
Yeah.
Things just change.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to look at it because this is such a aggressive sport. Is it worth it in the end? You know, do I want to be 70 just hurting from all the bodybuilding and stuff? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm taking all that into consideration right now after this year. I hit it really hard. I was really hard on my family. It was, I did 3 shows back to back. I mean, we were trying to do this, back in, you know, and it just it's hard. You know, I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't, so I wasn't recovering. I had a really bad hip injury. I almost didn't make it to stage. My hip was so bad, I was in excruciating pain. But I had to have intense therapy. I had dry needling done, massages once a week, chiropractor once a week. And the dry needling, that was intense.
Yeah.
Talk about profusely sweating on a table.
Been there, done that.
Oh, but it's going in your hip where it's an uncomfortable area to be sticking a needle down there. You're like, oh, let me know when I hit the spot.
Right.
Like, what? What?
See, English? There was an English accent.
I don't know what it was. What am I? That was number 8 personality.
Okay. I love it. Well, thank you very much for your time. This was great. You were great at Kilo. I'll definitely have you back on.
Thank you.
Your energy is up here. I love it. Love it.
You had no idea.
No, I didn't. I thought you actually. I would have said that you were not this person.
Oh, that's what people don't get. I'm like, I am more personal than anything else. They just don't know.
Yeah, it's so crazy. But thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. You're amazing. Thank you for being patient with all my nonsense.
No. All right, Fit Fam. Another great show. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and until next time, I'm out.